Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I have some breaking news coming out here for you. So, late last night, Russia launched another massive missile and drone attack on Ukraine. This comes after, I believe, the night before, Ukraine had just launched a drone attack on Belgorod. I'm not sure what they were targeting over there, but I was hearing reports that Ukraine had targeted Belgorod region of Russia as well with drones. So I'm not sure if this was a response from Russia. Most likely it was, but they launched another, once again, a massive Russian drone and missile attack targeting their energy infrastructure again. Okay, so their largest energy provider, DTEC, said at least three thermal power plants were seriously destroyed in Wednesday's attack. So this is the fifth attack on the company's facilities in 7 weeks. Okay, so DTEC, last I reported when we were talking about a strike on Ukraine, which just happened, I don't know, in the last week or two, they were reporting that like 80% of their facilities were destroyed, okay, or at least down and partially working, if anything, due to these strikes. And now, once again, another major hit. And it's going to make it nearly impossible for this company, which is their major energy provider for Ukraine, to supply energy for the citizens that need it. And it's going to make it difficult for them to even repair anything because I talked about this before. It takes them, 3 to 6 months, maybe longer, maybe up to a year for certain parts. Maybe there's some parts that could be on back order that take time to come in. They can't replace all these parts overnight. It's not going to happen. And Russia can just easily launch a massive missile barrage in one night, target all these facilities and just completely destroy them to the point and render them useless. So it's much easier for Russia to destroy them versus Ukraine rebuilding them. So Ukraine's energy infrastructure is continuing to suffer. And I know like the Kharkiv region got hit. There were some attacks near Lviv and like several other regions. Okay, this was a very, very big attack. I believe there was over 50 missiles that were fired, and I believe over 20 drones as well that were fired. So we've got several things to go over here. I have an article and then some X-posts and like a video to show you. Let's go ahead and get right into this on the BBC. Ukraine hit by massive attack on energy grid. This just coming out 4 hours ago today on May 8th, 2024. Russia has launched a massive early morning missile and drone attack on energy facilities across Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said more than 50 missiles and 20 drones were used in the attack. He wrote in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter. It marks the latest in a string of Russian attacks on Ukraine's energy grid, which Moscow insists is a legitimate military target. The strikes targeted 7 regions across the country and took place on a major national holiday commemorating the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. Yeah, so Russia was just holding this event, Victory Day, in the last like 24 hours, I believe, in Russia. And on the same time that they were holding this event, that's when the attack came onto Ukraine. So, writing on social media, Mr. Zelensky drew parallels between the German invasion of the Soviet Union and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, referring to Russian President Vladimir Putin's regime as Moscow Nazis. Russia's defense ministry said its attacks were in response to Ukrainian strikes on their energy facilities. While Ukraine has targeted several Russian oil facilities in recent weeks, Russia has bombarded Ukrainian power plants ever since the start of winter in 2022. The latest Russian campaign targeting Ukraine's energy grid began in March. Waves of attacks have forced authorities in Ukraine to impose rolling blackouts in several regions. On Tuesday, Mr. Putin was sworn in for his 5th term as president and said Russia would emerge through a difficult, pivotal period even stronger. President Zelensky accused Russia of demonstrating that Nazism has resurfaced with each new crime. This time it simply has a new label, Made in Russia. So I am starting to see a shift when it comes to this where Zelensky is starting to come out a lot and say that that this is very reminiscent of what Nazi Germany did to many countries where they started to conquer other nations. That he's referring to Vladimir Putin as Hitler basically, and Russia being the new Nazi power trying to invade Ukraine. So I'm starting to see that, and I wanted to note that there's a lot of talk behind this and rhetoric where this whole shift of blame is being put on Russia when it comes from Ukraine. and they're being called Nazis here. According to Ukraine's largest energy provider, DTEK, at least 3 thermal power plants were seriously damaged in Wednesday's attack, the 5th on the company's facility in weeks. The energy provider said its teams were on site and working to restore power, although 80% of its generating capacity had already been damaged or destroyed. So you see what I mean? 80%. That's pretty major, guys. For imagine if if you live in any city or state where you have you probably know the main energy provider of your state or your region that you live in or your city, right? Imagine that 80% of the energy gets taken out in that area. Okay, imagine the suffering of electricity is going to be massive, and that's where Ukraine is starting to have to tell their industrial consumers, like it's going to say right here, to cut supply, limit their amount of energy that they use. So let's talk about that. The energy these power stations produce allow millions of Ukrainians to live with dignity, says Chief Executive Maxim Timchenko. We will not stop working to restore power at our facilities. Ukraine's energy ministry said that there may be limitations to energy supply for industrial consumers between 1600 BST and 2300 as a result of the damage. The strikes focused on key energy and transport sites in Kiev, Vinnytsia, Poltava, Kirovohrad, Zaporizhzhia, Ivano-Frankivsk, and Lviv. Ukrainian officials said, adding that Soviet-era power plants and gas storage facilities were among the targets. The enemy has not abandoned plans to deprive Ukrainians of light, said Energy Minister Herman Halushenko. Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko said 2 people in Kiev were injured in the attacks, while 1 child in the Kirovgrad region was also hurt. In Kharkiv, 2 other children were hurt, according to Oleg Sinegubov, the head of the region's administration. Despite the damage, Ukraine's Air Force said it intercepted dozens of missiles and 20 of 21 Iranian Shahed drones fired towards the country. Russia's defense ministry says it used high-precision Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. Experts say the true impact of Russian attacks may not be felt until annual energy consumption peaks in the winter. So yeah, it's probably going to be till the end of the year when Ukraine starts to feel the effect of these attacks. Looks like Russia was using some hypersonic missiles too, according to this information, which makes sense that they would use that on the targets for like infrastructure, energy infrastructure, things like that, because they probably want to make sure these things actually get hit and not shot down. And it's a lot harder for Ukraine to shoot down the hypersonic missiles versus your conventional cruise missiles or more other slower ballistic missiles, things like that. So I've got a few more things to go over here with you on X. Let's talk about these. This is from Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. On Remembrance and Victory over Nazism in World War II Day, Nazi Putin launched a massive missile attack on Ukraine. Over 50 missiles and more than 20 Shahed drones targeted infrastructure in Lviv, Vinnytsia, Kiev, Poltava, Kirovohrad, Zaporizhzhia, and Ivano-Frankivsk regions. All necessary services are already working to mitigate the consequences of the Russian terror. The entire world must understand who is who. The world must not give a chance to new Nazism. So see, definitely referring to Vladimir Putin and Russia as the new Nazis. And here's a picture of that of one of the attacks on the power station. So as you can see here, some major damage done to this facility, and we've got firefighter crews here probably trying to put out a fire. You can see some flames right there, actually. So they're trying to put out the fire from this attack. Very terrible. Ukraine's got to be suffering majorly right now when it comes to energy. I've reported this at least, I want to say 3 or 4 times, maybe in the last month, 2 months, maybe 2 months. So definitely this is happening at least like once every couple weeks. We see a major attack on Ukraine's energy sector here. And obviously, Ukraine's doing the same thing to Russia. They've been striking their oil depots like crazy with drones. So this is from United 24 Media. Last night, Russian invaders attacked 7 regions in Ukraine, targeting energy, infrastructure, approximately 30 residential buildings, civilian transport, and a fire rescue station, according to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. So yeah, according to Ukraine, we have been seeing lots and lots of attacks on civilian targets, okay? So it says, like it says here, 30 residential buildings, civilian transport, fire rescue station. I mean, this is not all military targets, at least from what I see here. So let's take a look. Okay, so as you can see here, definitely a major strike on a, looks like a housing community, actually. This looks like a residential neighborhood that got hit here. And again, some of these attacks, I just don't see what the objective is here, other than to cause terror and try to cause harm to civilians that, most likely don't even want to be a part of this. It says here this is in the Kiev region on May 8th. So yeah, I mean, this is proof right here. We consistently see this. We hear the reports coming out that Russia is striking residential, targets, even some commercial targets as well. Like there was just a what was it? A meat processing facility that was just hit that I just reported in the last week. So they're definitely targeting civilian infrastructure as well. Okay, not just even if they consider the thermal power plants as military targets, they're still targeting things far beyond that. Okay, targeting actual commercial buildings, residential buildings, things of that nature. So finally, I want to show you this from DTEC Group. This is the energy company that we've been talking about, the major company in Ukraine that supplies majority of the power to the citizens there. So they put a post here on X saying Russia carried out massive attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure early on Tuesday using missiles to inflict severe damage on DTEC facilities. 3 of DTEC's 6 thermal power plants in Ukraine were struck in a new wave of Russian attacks, seriously damaging equipment on which millions of Ukrainians depend. So that's the latest there from DTEC. And then I wanted to show you this down here. They also clipped like a post here from their CEO. Okay, so he took a picture of this energy facility that got hit. You can see the damage here. And let's go ahead and take a look at his post as well. So this is from Maxim Timchenko, so the DTEC CEO. With each attack, Russia proves again that it has no honor or decency. The energy these power stations produce allow millions of Ukrainians to live with dignity. We will not stop working to restore power at our facilities. However long Russia continues these terrorist attacks, to do so, we renew our calls and allies to send more air defense systems and critical replacement equipment such as transformers and generators so that we can secure warmth and light for the Ukrainian people. DTEC image of destruction caused by Russian attacks against DTEC power station in March 2024. So this was one of those attacks back in March. So like I said, I've been covering these attacks for at least 2, maybe 3 months now, where Russia has deliberately been targeting their energy infrastructure in Ukraine, okay? Going after that primarily. And now that we're starting to see attacks happening in Ukraine, this is where most of the attacks are happening from what I've been seeing. Yes, they are targeting commercial and residential buildings as well throughout cities all over Ukraine. But one of the major targets here is definitely their energy thermal power plants that keep coming under attack. So Russia's definitely doing this on purpose. They're trying to put the pressure on Ukraine here and destroy their energy, which makes it very difficult for them to do anything in their country if they don't have electricity, okay? If your plan was to try to invade a country or destroy a country, I would think one of the first things that you would do is go after the lights, okay? Try to take out their power. And then that's typically what you'll see. You see that in a lot of movies too. If something big is about to happen, one of the first things that happens is the power goes out. Okay, so obviously I can see why they would consider this a legitimate military target, at least with their thermal power plants. But at the same time, I think this is also a response to Ukraine ordering dozens and dozens of drone strikes on oil depots across Russia, okay? These oil depots are very important to Russia. It's where their economy, the lifeblood of their economy, where they make all their money. And then obviously in Ukraine, they need electricity just like every country does. So it makes sense why Russia would be targeting these thermal power plants. But yeah, that's going to be it for this update, though. I wanted to get you all that information and get you caught up to speed. What's going on with Ukraine? That's what happened here in the last 24 hours or so. So if you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.